Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton at Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada and Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south. It's the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful November the 13th, 2020. Bono Deportes, bonjour, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, is going good for us down here, but I think it wasn't so good for Donald Trump today. He staggered out of his basement today to come up to the podium in the White House. I guess he ran out of vodka. He was staggering and, loose with his words and everything.
Yeah.
But that's how it is when you're a loser.
Yeah.
But I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, first responders. They're never losers, Charlton. They save lives every day.
They save lives every day. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars. Also, all around the world, just say Google or Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic, and he'll do his thing from 3,000 miles away, and I really appreciate the way things are going with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be looking at a still picture. Big C, I wanted to pause twice, because pausing is good. If one lick is good, 2 licks are better, Big C. But I'll never stop pausing on the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Big C, why is that so important to you?
Well, Charlton, it's important because people are not paying attention to the tragedies that beset our veterans of this country. We lose some 2 dozen a day to suicide, Charlton, a horrific number that should not be acceptable in America. And our administration, our government is not doing anything about it, Charlton. Our veterans have served this country admirably. Many of these veterans are suffering emotionally, mentally, physically. They're destitute, Charlton. Our veterans are stricken with COVID-19 like everybody else in America.
Yeah.
But they're stricken with suicide even before COVID-19 came along. And our government hadn't done anything about it. We give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton, but there has to be a more concerted effort in America to help out our veterans and our everyday citizens who commit suicide. This is supposed to be the greatest country in the world, but we can't stop a simple problem like that. All it takes is an American Herculean effort to do.
Yep.
Giving out the National Suicide Hotline number is one thing, Charlton, but this should be something that's done every day on every news and media outlet.
Yeah, it really should. Big C, just to let you know, I'm seeing more and more people giving it out now. They sneak it in. They don't say Veterans Crisis Hotline, but they say a help hotline for our military. So what you started is really helping out, Big C. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. You can definitely get some help. Also, I'm very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, DirecTV, AT&T Uverse, TV 53, home of the San Francisco Giants and the Say Hey Kid, as well as a home run leader, Barry Bonds. When you reach out to him, just tell him Big C sent you. Our goal is simple. Recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this great country. Put their property listings on TV just like McDonald's does it. Car dealerships do it. And sports teams are doing it too. You can watch TV and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. That's bigcsports.pacwm.com. And you can get some help. Also, I really want to say we just had our Veterans Day and celebrated all of our veterans. Just like Big C said, give out that hotline anywhere in the world. If you have a cell phone, just speak into it, say play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see the apps pop up, whether it's iHeartRadio app or Google or Apple Podcast or Spotify or so many other apps that we're on, and I really do appreciate it. And in every show, Big C will speak to our military veterans and let you guys know why it's so important to get help. So I love giving it out, Big C. It's all fair in love and war. Man, there's a lot of rain coming in California. I haven't seen rain in about almost a year, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, we get it quite often down here into the South, Charlton. We're basically like in Hurricane Alley. So as hurricanes come up through the Gulf, we get them on land in tropical rain.
Yeah, we get them. I mean, we get them like once a year. It'd be nice to have them when the fires are here. It's all fair and love and war. Well, while it is raining in California, if you want to have some romantic food, get the Big C Burger. It is a tasty burger. It comes with exotic meats, and you get it at participating restaurants. It goes well with the Budweiser Zero. It has zero alcohol, and it's great with the Big C Burger. Big C, I want to take the time today to get into Big C's NFL football. It's Big C's thoughts on the big games with big-time players making big-time plays. I'm going to start out with it's like the first game, but it's not the best game. Week 10 NFL football, Big C's thoughts. Washington football team, they are 2-6. They're at the Detroit Lions that are 3-5. Big C, it's a Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports. And your friends down at the MGM, they don't have a line on this game, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this could be the most interesting and intriguing game of the week. When you think about Alex Smith getting his first start since 2018 as an NFL starting quarterback, this is a great inspirational and motivational story after the horrific leg injury he had, suffering through 17 operations, coming back, getting his first NFL start in 2 years. The Washington football team has an opportunity to win this game. If the players play like Alex Smith thinks, there's no reason why they shouldn't win this game. I think Matthew Stafford is out in this game for Detroit. He's been under COVID-19 protocol.
Yeah.
So they're going with a backup quarterback. The running game in Detroit has been paltry. Washington's running game has been productive. And I think that's what it will come down to.
Yeah, if wide receiver for the Lions, if wide receiver Kenny Galladay is unable to play, it's going to make it more difficult on the Lions as well. Big C, the Texans, I never would have thought the team that was playing in the AFC Championship game last year would be 2-6. The Houston Texans, they are 2-6. They're at the Cleveland Browns that are 5-3. That's a Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. And the MGM, your friends have the Browns favored by 3.5. Are you buying it, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, when we're looking at these two teams from a defensive perspective, the Browns have the better of the two defenses. Young and tenacity is what they have on that side of the ball. They can really get after the opposing quarterback. They're not going to make it comfortable for Deshaun Watson. And if his running game is not there to support him, he's going to have a long day in the pocket. When we look at this Houston's defense, 3 years ago it was one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
But that defense has gotten old and that lacks productivity. And so I think it's going to come down to which defense dominates. I like the Browns' defense.
You know what, Big C, for the offense, out of the bye week, if running back Nick Chubb and tight end Austin Hooper should return, that makes it more challenging for the Texans to hang in there. Another game that may have had upset written all over it a couple of years ago, but you have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are 1-7 at the Green Bay Packers, 6-2 at Lambeau Field. The game is Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff East Coast time on Fox Sports. And your friends down at the MGM, Big C, they have the Packers favored by 14. Are you buying that one, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I know Aaron Rodgers will throw at least 3 touchdown passes in this game, Charlton, and the Packers will run for at least one. The Jacksonville Jaguars are playing their rookie quarterback. I think he's going to be up against more than he can handle.
Yeah, and you may even see Love get in the game. It's nice to have Love in Green Bay when it's getting cold. If they let Love in, it's all fair love and war, if that makes sense to you. Also, the Green Bay Packers, this might be the game of the week in the NFC East. They're not the Green Bay Packers, but the Philadelphia Eagles. They are 3-4-1 at the New York Football Giants. They are 2-7, Big C. They've only won 2 games since last season. It's a Sunday 1 o'clock kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports. And your friends have the Eagles flying into New York, and they're favored by 3, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, I like the way that the Giants have been playing the past couple of weeks, Charlton. They have been very, very excellent on offense.
Yeah.
Their defense has played much better. I think that they're going to give Philadelphia all that they can handle in this game. Carson Wentz, you never know what you're going to get from him at quarterback.
Nope.
He's a lot like your cousin up there in Minnesota playing quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, he's likely to throw the ball to his opponent a couple of times.
Yeah.
And when you think about Carson Wentz, he's averaging 2 turnovers a game this season, Charlton.
Yeah.
So he's much on the pace that Jameis Winston was last year in Tampa.
Yeah, and one was out of job, and one still has a job. It's amazing that Wentz, he's every bit as turnover prone as Daniel Jones. It's all fair and love and war. In a game that you may have a big bounce back, or maybe not, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are 6-3 on the season. They're at the Carolina Panthers that are 3-6, and they really need to rebound if you're Carolina. It's a Sunday 1 o'clock kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports, and your friends down at the MGM, they have the Buccaneers going in favored by 5, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, I think we've seen a pattern with Tampa Bay in the past couple of weeks, is that their offense is not clicking, Charlton. You know, there's something wrong down there. They're not getting the ball to the receivers. I mean, they have a great receiving core, and I don't know if they were trying to coddle Antonio Brown last week to get him into the mix.
Yeah.
But Mike Evans should be getting the ball, you know, at least 10 times a game, Charlton, and he's not seeing that. So I like where Carolina is in this game. When you look at the offensive productivity of Teddy Bridgewater in the past couple of games, especially last week in Kansas City.
Yeah.
This game came down to a missed kick in Kansas City. I like Carolina in this game against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay losing 3 consecutive games.
Big C, would you think that maybe, just maybe, Antonio Brown kind of messed with the chemistry of the Buccaneers? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I think they lost the game before Antonio Brown showed up, Charlton. If you look at the New York Giants, they handled them.
Yeah.
You know, the week prior to that. You know, Antonio Brown wasn't the guy in the backfield when I think they had 6 yards rushing in the game. He didn't carry the ball, Charlton.
Yeah.
So chemistry, no. I mean, it comes from the quarterback first.
Yeah.
And so you got to look at Brady. They praise him when he's throwing touchdowns, and they try to blame everybody else when he doesn't throw a touchdown.
Yeah, you know what's happened sometime when you change that chemistry, it can make things turn off, if that makes sense to you. The game that may be the game of the week, in my opinion, Big C, the Buffalo Bills. Them good boys are 7-2. They had a nice beat down of the Seattle Seahawks. They are traveling all the way down into the desert, and they're playing the Arizona Cardinals that are 5-3, also coming off of a loss to Miami. This game is Sunday. It's a 4:05 East Coast time kickoff on CBS Sports, and your friends at the MGM, they have the Cardinals favored by 1.5 in the desert. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, this is truly a pick'em game, Charlton. This is basically like a game of truth or dare. You got this huge quarterback in Josh Allen who stands 6'5". You got this diminutive quarterback in Kyler Murray who stands roughly 5'9". This is guys, you know, this is going to be a shootout. When you look at Kyler Murray, he's on pace to throw for 4,000 yards and rush for 1,000 yards. And if he does, he'll be the first quarterback in NFL history to accomplish that feat.
Yeah.
But you look at Josh Allen. 4 games ago, he was in the MVP chase.
Yeah.
And then he slumped for a couple games, but now he's back on track, going for 415 yards last week against that Seattle Poultry defense. But this is a game, Charlton, that is going to come down to big plays. Both teams have outstanding wide receivers. It's going to be whose running game dominates. When you look at Kyler Murray, he's the best. He's the most elusive running back in the NFL.
Yeah.
Since Barry Sanders. I mean, that's the only difference is he can throw the ball better than Barry Sanders.
He can throw it better than Barry, and Barry quit when he still had some gasoline in the tank. It's all fair and love and war. It's Fireball High School from California versus Allen High School of Texas. We'll see what happens. Now they're playing pro football. Big C, another game that used to be a big game in the AFC West. The Denver Broncos, they're 3-5. They're at the Las Vegas Raiders for the first time playing down in Las Vegas that are 5-3. It's a Sunday 4:05 p.m. East Coast time kickoff on CBS Sports. And your friends down in Las Vegas, they're giving the Raiders 5 points against a team they rarely beat. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, when you look at Denver, Charlton, they have to stop spotting teams. They've been coming back in the last 2 games in the fourth quarter. 2 weeks ago, it was against the Chargers, last play of the game. Last week, it was against the Falcons when they had an opportunity to win on the last play of the game.
Yeah.
So if they can hold the lead, Charlton, early in the game, then this is a team that is getting better and better by the week. You look at the Raiders, they're an up-and-down yo-yo team. I mean, one week they're throwing the ball all over the field, scoring big points. Next week they can't even hardly get on the scoreboard. But it comes down to Josh Jacobs. If he can control the line of scrimmage, and we know that Derek Carr is going to be very proficient throwing the football, is that the Raiders should cover.
Yeah, they got some great wide receivers. Henry Ruggs III, Nelson Aguilar. And when Carr goes downfield, the Raiders have more success. But this is a team in the Broncos that always find a way to knock them off, if that makes sense to you. In a game that may not seem like it on paper, but I'm telling you, these two great quarterbacks down in Florida, you have coming from the West Coast, the Los Angeles Chargers. They're 2-6. They're at the Miami Dolphins that are 5-3. It's a Sunday 4:05 kickoff East Coast time on CBS Sports. You have Oregon and you have Herbert versus Tua in Alabama. This should have been the national championship game, but, you know, they keep cheating Pac-10 teams, Big C, or Pac-12 teams. I want to get your thoughts on the Chargers that really should be at least 5 wins on the season. And the Dolphins, I'm telling you, they're going to challenge Buffalo by the end of the year, Big C. Your friends got the Dolphins favored by 2.5, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, this comes down is a lot of people want to think between the number 5 and the number 6 pick in the draft last year. That's Tua and Herbert, Charlton. But this is more about the defenses. Neither one of these defenses have been able to muster up much of a pass rush in the past couple of weeks, which has really hurt them. But when you look at the two teams, the Dolphins are on a roll, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's just their running game right now is on the skids because all their running backs are beat up. But Tua performed a lot better in his second start as an NFL quarterback than he did in his debut. So I like the momentum that the Dolphins are going through with right now, and gives them sort of an advantage. Because when you look at the Chargers, this is a team saying, we can't win. And that hurts you when you're a professional athlete, is that you're saying that you're always in it, but you can't win it. And that's where the Chargers are snake bitten right now. And I see that hindering them the rest of the year, is that they can't find a way to stay on top of opposing teams.
I love what they do offensively, but defensively, it's like they sit back and hope that they don't lose, as opposed to going out and getting it, Big C. Give me a feeling on something. You have Brian Flores. He's a disciple of Bill Belichick. Isn't it ironic that Flores is about to win that division, or at least challenge Buffalo for it, and then Belichick's still trying to find his groove, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, it's not that Belichick is trying to find his groove, Charlton. He was beset by COVID-19 and a lot of opt-outs of players, and he just did not have the salary cap space to bring in players. The Dolphins have been building on the floors for the past couple of years. They put all the pieces in place, and right now they're materializing, and that's the difference. I mean, this is the tale of two different franchises. I mean, 3 years ago, when you look at the Dolphins, and they didn't have the players in place, you knew that they were a doormat. Right now, the Patriots don't have the players in place. It's not about coaching. You got to have the players to compete in the NFL.
That's why I hope Anthony Lynn should not be on the hot seat. They're going down to the wire in all of their games. They're not losing by 2 and 3 touchdowns. Should be a great matchup of two great quarterbacks. Big C, a game that's going up to the steel curtain, Big C. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're only 5-1. They're at the Pittsburgh Steelers that are 8-0, the best start in the history of the great steel curtain franchise, if that makes sense to you. It's a Sunday kickoff, 4:25 p.m. East Coast time on Fox Sports, and the Steelers are favored by 7.5, and it looks like Tomlin says that Big Ben will play. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, if you're a better, take the Bengals in this game. Take the 7 points, because Cincinnati will knock off Pittsburgh this week. If you look at what the Steelers have done the last couple of weeks, they should have lost to the Ravens. But the Ravens, Lamar Jackson gave them 4 opportunities to beat them, and 2 of those came from the defense where they scored. They were outscored by the Baltimore Ravens offense. You look at the Dallas Cowboys, probably the most inept team in the NFL next to the New York Jets. And the Dallas Cowboys took them to task. Joe Burrow has been playing outstanding as a rookie quarterback in the NFL, and his weapons and him have gotten more and more in tune. You know, look at the running game with Joe Mixon, outstanding running back for the Cincinnati Bengals.
He's good.
And that receiving core has gotten better as they've gotten more in tune with Joe Burrow. Right now, Pittsburgh is struggling offensively. They've been finding a way to manufacture points but you have to score consistently against a good offense, and Cincinnati will knock off the Steelers and give their first loss of the season.
Well, you look at the Steelers, they got to bring out Mean Joe Green and add some more pass rush to that Steel Curtain defense, Big C. This is a game where all of the players, the 72 Dolphins, the guys that are still watching TV, Big C, they'll have an eye on this game. If the Steelers can get past their rival Cincinnati Bengals, I'm sure they'll tighten up the sphincter a little bit more down in Florida, if that makes sense to you. Can't wait to see that game. Big C, a game that I feel bad. I feel bad for a reason. You know, Northern California only has one professional football team since the Raiders went down to Las Vegas, which is where a lot of men go when they leave home, if that makes sense to you. The 49ers are traveling down south. They are 4-5. They're without Jimmy Garoppolo. They're at the New Orleans Saints that are really starting to find their breeze, if that makes sense to you. And you have a Sunday 4:25 East Coast time kickoff on Fox Sports. And the Saints are favored by 9 with Drew touchdown Brees. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, you think about Jimmy Garoppolo as a starter with the 49ers. He's 20-8 as a starter with that team. Every other quarterback they put in has struggled. That running game is just a shadow of itself from last year where it dominated the NFL. They had a makeshift offensive line last Thursday when they played Charlton. Going down to New Orleans, maybe they can get a good meal down there because that's the only thing that they're going to be able to stomach because the Saints will come marching in and stomp the 49ers.
Yeah, but you think about it, quarterback Nick Mullins, who completed passes of 36, 41, 43, and 47 yards against Green Bay, he throws downfield better than Jimmy G does, but the 49ers are a little bit beaten up, and there's a lot of talk in the Bay Area that they're trying to put Jimmy G on ice and ship him out someplace and just try to get a new draft pick. You never know. It's really that Super Bowl hangover, and we're seeing it out here in San Francisco. Wouldn't be surprised if the point spread is 9. That's going to be covered, Big C. Drew touchdown Brees.
Wouldn't the Super Bowl hangover go to the Super Bowl champ? Isn't that the team that's supposed to have hangover, not the losers?
No, it's the team that lost. That's the one that gets the hangover. Not the guys that win. They party hardy, Big C. It's all for.
So in other words, they got the good alcohol, and the team that lost got the bad alcohol.
Some guys get their alcohol out of a tin can. Others buy it off the shelf, Big C. It's all fair and level war. You know what I mean? It's all good. Another game that is really going to make it's a sea change for the West Coast because the Seattle Seahawks, it's hard to see Russell Houdini Wilson lose a game when he doesn't turn the ball over. They lost down in Arizona when he had 3 interceptions. He had a lot of turnovers in Buffalo, and they lost that game. And I don't know if he's going to have 3 picks this weekend. I really can't wait to see DK Metcalf in the Rams secondary, Big C. But the Seahawks are 6-2. The Rams are 5-3. It's at SoFi Stadium. It's a Sunday 4:25 kickoff, East Coast time on Fox Sports. And there's not a lot of faith from your friends in Las Vegas. They only given the Rams a 1.5 point favorite. Are you buying that, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, the Rams have been inconsistent offensively. You think about Seattle's 2 losses, Charlton. They scored 34 points in each one of those 2 losses.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been the offense that's been the problem, even with the turnovers by Russell Wilson. You can't have your defense going out there giving up more than 35 points a game and expect to win. And that's the problem that Seattle is facing right now, is that nobody on defense wants to play defense. I think they're sitting over on the sideline looking at the computers playing some type of video game or something, Charlton, but they're not concentrating about what they need to do on the field.
Yeah.
The Rams have been off for a little bit, Charlton, but, you know, Aaron Donald will be getting after Russell Wilson. They got to find a way to slow him down. And the running backs in Seattle have been beat up. Jared Goff needs to have a big game for the Rams. He hasn't had a breakout game yet this year. And it's time. I mean, against this Seattle defense, you know, if Jared Goff can't get over 320 yards throwing, then Seattle will win.
Yeah, you know Seattle can score, and the Rams sometimes they just lay an egg. Seattle's never laid an egg. Even when Seattle's lost, they scored 30 points in their 2 losses. So that's a team that seems like the people down in Las Vegas, they know what they're talking about. I'm going to go with the Seahawks in that game. I just don't see Houdini Wilson having 3 turnovers. Even with 3 turnovers in their 2 losses, they still put up 30 points, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, they have. Like I said, they scored 34 points in each one of their losses.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been a problem with the offense, even with the turnovers. that defense can't stop a nosebleed right now or catch one of those slippery pickups.
Yeah. Well, Kid Norton needs to get some of that gauze that his father used to have, and they have stopped nosebleeds all the time on the former heavyweight champion of the world, Kid Norton. Is all fair in Leavenworth. I can't wait to see that game. I've got another game to bring you, and this is a game that has so much meaning for the two quarterbacks, two African-American quarterbacks. These are two Heisman Trophy winners, Big C, where you have Cam Newton and you also have the good old boy for Jackson for the Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens, they're 6-2. They're at the New England Patriots that are 3-5, Big C. And this game is Sunday, 8:20 p.m. East Coast time on NBC Sports. And your friends from Las Vegas, they have the Baltimore Ravens favorite by 7 points, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Cam Newton has to figure out how to throw a touchdown pass. That's his problem right now. He only has 2 on the season. And he's only throwing with his arms, Charlton. He doesn't utilize his legs. He thinks he can keep muscling the ball down the field. Lamar Jackson, also on the flip side, needs to find a way to throw the ball to his wideout.
Yeah.
He has not utilized his wide receivers. He likes to throw over the middle to the tight end. He doesn't go outside the hash marks, Charlton, when he's throwing the ball. I think the difference in this game will come down to the legs of the two quarterbacks. We know how elusive Lamar Jackson is. Cam Newton, I don't think he has the step that he used to have. Both defenses are beat up. But it's going to come down to which quarterback can throw touchdown passes. I give Lamar Jackson the advantage. He'll throw 2 in the game.
Yeah, you know what you're going to get out of the Ravens defense. They're very difficult to run against, and they'll run the ball, whether it's the running backs or whether it's Ingram or if it's just going to be Jackson doing his thing out of the backfield. I just want to ask your thoughts, and it's a fair question because you and I talk about so many things, and I hope that it's not what I'm thinking. When I see how media has been anti-African-American quarterback, so me as an African-American, I push for everybody to do well, but especially black men because of the history of being denied opportunities. I would love to see Cam Newton realize that he was injured last year, plus he had COVID this year. And then Jackson, he's still a winner. They just had problems in the playoffs. And to be 6-2, he might be the most criticized 6-2 quarterback in the league. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, he's taken a step back, Charlton, from what he did in his unanimous MVP season. If you look at Lamar Jackson,
yeah,
I mean his numbers are not what they were last year. You know, he's more quick to pull the ball down now and throw. Not as many designed run plays this year, but one of the things he should have worked on, Charlton, it was his passing down the field.
Yeah.
You think about where he was last year. I think he threw 36 touchdown passes to 6 interceptions.
Yeah.
He's nowhere on pace to equal that this year. And then when you look at Cam Newton, you know, he's a guy whose mechanics are real bad right now. When you watch Cam Newton throw the football,
yeah,
he's only throwing with his arm. He doesn't stride into the ball with his legs when you look at the normal delivery of any quarterback, regardless of race.
Yeah.
His mechanics are bad right now. He's trying to muscle the ball, and he's just not getting it there. You'll see the ball sailing or going into the ground. His accuracy is really bad. Lamar Jackson needs to be more patient in the pocket. Find his receivers. Go through his progression. First, second, third.
Yeah.
He's not doing that, Charlton. And so any quarterback, regardless of race, these are the things that you need to do.
Yeah, I want to see those guys have a great game. And then two former Heisman Trophy quarterbacks going up against each other, and they happen to be African-American. That's a pretty rare feat. I know it's happened sometime in the past, but I don't recall who may have done that. So I'm really looking forward to a good game with those two guys. Before we come up on what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. Big C, we have a big game. This used to be the Monsters of the Midway, and right now I don't know if they're monsters, but they're still in the Midway. You have the Minnesota Vikings. They are 3-5. They're at the Chicago Bears that are 5-4. It's a Monday night game, 8:15 p.m. kickoff East Coast time on ESPN, and the MGM has the Vikings going into Chicago, and they're favored by 2.5. Big C, are you buying that one?
Well, Charlton, this is a game with two inept quarterbacks, your cousin there in Minnesota and Nick Foles. Nick Foles hasn't played big football since he wore a green uniform.
Yeah.
He has been totally inconsistent since Matt Nagy has made him the starter in Chicago. Bear was out of running game. David Montgomery's in concussion protocol, the Bears' leading rusher.
Yeah.
So they lost Tyreek Cohen early in the year. So their first two backs are gone. now it's running by committee, whoever they can find in the parking lot
Yep.
to come in and put on a uniform. But we know in Minnesota that Dalvin will be cooking in the backfield. Two consecutive games, Charlton, with over 200 total yards of offense.
Yeah.
And last week he rushed for 206 yards. And will he do the same this week against that Chicago Bears defense? If he can talk to your cousin and tell him not to throw the ball more than a dozen times and get it in his hands at least 26 times, the Vikings will run all over the Bears.
You're gonna see Cousins throw at least 2 interceptions because he can't stand the pressure of having the guy that he hands off to having more success than him. It's all fair in level war. We're gonna take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When we come back, I want to talk to you about the AFC South clash that happened last night down in Tennessee. And there's a lot of moonshine cans around, but it's going to the wrong side of the stadium. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. There's so many apps, and I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. So, Big C, we talked about the games that are coming up for this week, as long as no one's, hampered by COVID-19. But I want to take you to a big game last night. It was the AFC South. It was up for grabs, but the Colts get the tiebreaker. They beat the Titans. It was 34-17. At a time, I thought the Titans were going to take them. But this team, with the #1 defense in the league, they just kept getting better and better and better. And I didn't think that would have happened to Tennessee in their own backyard. Phillip Rivers, your friend, threw for 308 yards and a touchdown. It was one of his more efficient games this season. Indy sputtered in ground game, produced only 133 yards and a healthy 4.6 yards per carry and 2 scores. But Phillip Rivers was doing his thing last night, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, when you don't turn over the ball in Indianapolis with that great defense you have, gives yourself an excellent opportunity to win a game.
Yeah.
But this game last night was all about special teams for Indianapolis, Charlton. When you think about Gostowski missing a long field goal for Tennessee, giving Indianapolis great field position, they go in and score on that, Charlton, before the half. Then all of a sudden you look at a missed punt, Charlton, by the punter for Tennessee. Only went 17 yards.
Las Vegas.
They turn right around and get a touchdown out of it. The next series, they block a punt, Charlton, take it in for a touchdown. That right there accounted for the 17-point difference in the ball game. We always talk about offense and defense, how well they're played, but there's 3 phases of every football game. And when you don't think about the special teams, it can come in and bite you in the butt. And that's what it did to Tennessee last night. They gave up 17 points off their special teams, Charlton, which was the difference in the game.
Now, Big C, I'm going to ask you a very cynical question. It won't be the first time. You know how we talk about Las Vegas is sometimes wide right. What kind of NFL punter, when you're really backed up in your territory, they were not trying to block it. There was no punt rush. What punter punts the ball 12 yards, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you look at this young man, I mean, he's under a lot of pressure. I mean, just 3
12
weeks
yards?
ago, he was driving a FedEx truck.
Yeah.
Think about that. He was driving FedEx 3 weeks ago. But he came in for a tryout, Charlton, because Tennessee has struggled all year long with their kicking game. And so he got an opportunity, and in the biggest stage, Charlton, on a Thursday night game, he shanked one. And then they turned around and got one blocked after that. But the punt that was blocked wasn't his fault, Charlton. They missed assignments up front, and it cost them a touchdown.
So maybe FedEx was treating him better than they were treating him down in Tennessee. Hopefully he'll get to keep the job in the NFL. I know it's just weird when I saw 12 yards. I could see if they had a punt rush, but there was no punt rush. It just went to the side. Maybe he thought he had the delivery to drop off. That makes sense to you. But that's Big C's thoughts on Big C's Week 10 NFL games. There's a lot of good football games out there. I just hope that a lot of players can stay healthy through the world of COVID-19. I want to get your thoughts on a couple of things. I know you love sports, but you're really this defensive specialist that I know you love defense, Big C. I want to ask you about a couple of teams, and I want to get Big C's thoughts on what's making it happen. The NFL's 2020, when you look at team defense, I know defensive players like you guys hate when offensive guys get all the credit. But without a defense, then you can't win a game because they would be the one to stop you from scoring. Indianapolis, we saw it last night. Through 9 games, Big C, they're only giving up 19.7 points a game, and they're only giving up 91 yards a game. When you think about that, on the pass, they're giving up 198 yards per game. So they only give up 290 yards per game. And they're in if you think about it, that's number 1 in the league. What makes them so good, in your opinion, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they spent time building this defense over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
They're young and they're aggressive. They're led by Darius Leonard, linebacker out of South Carolina State. They made some key draft acquisitions plus a couple trades. These guys are playing solid football.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to – football on the defensive side of the ball is about desire.
Yeah.
And all of these guys seem to like each other, and they have the desire to outplay each other.
Yeah, and it's amazing with the league's number 1 defense, they don't have the league's number 1 record. It's all fair in level. Well, I want to bring you out to the West Coast because, in my opinion, this game down at SoFi Center with the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks, one team in Seattle, you find them nowhere near the top of the leaderboard when it comes to defense. But the Rams, they've only played 8 games so far. They give up about 19 points a game, Big C. They give up 94 yards rushing a game, but they give up just about 197 passing. They give up a total of 291 yards per game. To me, Russell Wilson's going to have that much in passing alone. What makes the Rams so good? They've traveled all over the country back and forth more than any team, but they're still the number 2 team, Big C. Your thoughts?
It's that defensive line, Charlton, very athletic, very aggressive. They get after you up front. And when you have Aaron Donald, that accounts for 2 guys right there on the offensive line that have to pay attention to him.
Yeah.
And so you're always going to have somebody running free, which gives you great blitz opportunities. And so the Rams have been able to capitalize on that. If their offense could play up to their defense, they could win the West.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams, something's up with their offense when you're that good on defense, and I think they're going to get beaten by Seattle. That's just my opinion, because Russell Houdini Wilson can get you 300 yards on his own. I want to bring up just a couple more teams, because these are all teams looking at playoff spots. The New Orleans Saints, Big C, no one thinks about it because they have Drew Touchdown Brees. Through 8 games, this team's given up 200 total points. They only give up, when you think about it, for their whole team, they're averaging their defense 311 yards per game is what they give up. But they don't look like they're the 3rd best defense in the league, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, their pass rush has been outstanding this year. They've put a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. They've had some troubles in the secondary this year, recycling some players, Charlton. But the defensive front 4 of the New Orleans Saints has made the difference for them this year.
Yeah. Now, the final one I'm going to get you on, because they had a lot of talk about how great they would be coming into the season, and they may still be. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, through 9 games, so they've played 2 more games than the Rams and also than New Orleans. This team has given up, when you think about what they do on the ground, total 312 yards per game is what they give up per game. 235 through the air, and then they're a little bit tougher to run against. But give me your feeling. A team that's number 4 in the league, how do they get beat down so bad at home by a team in their own division that they see at least twice, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, that's one of the reasons why, Charlton. They see them twice, so there's nothing new with the Tampa defense that New Orleans had not seen, Charlton. But this defense has been solid all year. They were rock solid the last half of last season. And, you know, what you saw last week was an anomaly. It's not going to happen again where they get beat by 35 points, Charlton. This defense in Tampa is legitimate. Yeah,
they are legitimate. I'm going to throw in one more just because I want the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats, and you can get it at participating restaurants. I'm sure Mean Joe Green would have loved the Big C burger, but you brought up something about the Steelers. The last 3 games, their defense has went right down to the wire, the last play of the game, and winning their games. So they're the 6th-ranked team in the league right now. They played 8 games. When you think about the Steelers, they give up right now 317 yards per game. So they're not number 1 anymore. Earlier in the year, they were like the Pittsburgh Steelers, Steel Curtain Part 2. Big Ben, he was struggling in his game, in my opinion, in the second half at Tennessee. He struggled a little bit in the game against Baltimore, and he definitely struggled against Dallas, but he was banged up also in that game. What's made the Steelers slide to number 6, but they're still undefeated, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, they lost Devin Bush at linebacker to a knee injury, Charlton, and so replacing him was almost impossible, so they're doing what they can with smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
The Steelers' defense is still solid. It's not what it was in the first 4 games of the season, but they're still undefeated on the season.
Yeah, and all that matters is undefeated, and they play to win the game, and maybe they'll stay undefeated after they get a load of eating up on that good old boy Burrow. They like to eat Bengals when you're a Steeler. We'll see what happens. The Steelers have been limping across the finish line, but we'll see what happens, how they hold up coming up in this weekend. Big C, I want to take you to college football. If there are any games left in college football, the Pac-12, they canceled. The couple of games in the Pac-12 have been canceled due to COVID-19. Arizona State and Cal was supposed to be taking place in Tempe, Arizona. It's been on pause because of COVID-19. And then the great coach Herman Edwards also tests positive for COVID-19. He's 66 years old. I believe these coaches and these schools have the best medical care, and I hope they'll be fine. But that hit the Pac-12, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, COVID-19 hit the Pac-12 in the opening week of the season, Charlton, where they lost 2 games. We talked yesterday about anybody from the Pac-12 potentially having a chance to make the college football playoffs, Charlton. They were going to have to run the table and have that perfect 7-0 season with that Pac-12 championship. That doesn't seem to be in the works right now with the Pac-12, having already lost at least 3 games in this early season. So it's going to be a problem for the Pac-12, Charlton, as it is going to be a problem for the rest of the country. You think about the United States today, Charlton had its highest total of COVID-19 positive cases, 154,000 plus cases. Think about that.
Wow.
154,000 American citizens test positive today for COVID-19. And the sad point is, yesterday, Charlton, over 1,400 Americans lost their lives to this disease.
Wow.
1,400. And your buddy Donald Trump is sitting in his basement drinking vodka, talking about we don't have a problem. And yet he staggered out to a podium today talking about this, this right around the corner. He's been talking about right around the corner forever.
Yeah.
But, COVID-19 is serious. It's going to affect everything and every American in America over the next several months, if not the next couple of years, Charlton. And so we have to come down to the reality of it. COVID-19 is serious. It's going to affect every sporting event that's going on in America over the next year, and it's going to affect every life in America over the next year.
Ironically, when I think the count, they're still counting in some states, and Biden has gotten, I think, about 7 million more votes than POTUS. And I still wonder with some of my friends that were talking about, the election's fixed, it's fixed. He said it was going to be a crooked election. They tried to stop the black voters from voting because they went to heavily Democratic cities. So keep in mind when he says those are Democratic states, that's a euphemism for a lot of black Americans in those states. That's what he meant. Now, POTUS turned his back on Americans. And I know people want to find a cure and a vaccine, but he keeps pushing. It's like he came out today to make an announcement, but it was about what to buy stock in, what company. I think it was Pfizer. He's keep trying to give his friends that helped him, however they helped him, to get their stocks to go up. It's nothing about how to help people save lives. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, he's not even thinking about America, Charlton. He's thinking about himself and how he could prolong this lie about a scam on their election. He lost.
Yeah.
Biden today tallied 302 electoral college votes. I believe Trump tallied 232. The counts are over in all the states.
Okay.
In Georgia, in Florida, and Carolina. They all declared their winners.
Yeah.
Trump got Carolina, Biden got Georgia, and he got Arizona.
Yeah.
So the count is over. The presidential count is over.
Yeah.
There's no path to victory for Donald Trump. Joe Biden has 302 electoral college votes. He had 77 million Americans who voted for him.
Wow.
In a landslide, the most people ever voting for a president-elect.
Yeah.
Joe Biden got, today.
Yeah.
Over 77 million votes. And I don't care how many people voted for Trump. You still lost. It's just like in a sporting event. The winning team scores 50, you score 49, you still lose. You can't sit there and say, hell, we scored 7 touchdowns.
Hey, we got robbed.
Yeah, but they scored 7 touchdowns plus 1 extra point, 1 2-point conversion, beat you, but you lost. So that's what it is.
Yeah.
So all of these people sitting there talking about the election was stolen, that it was fraudulent, get over that.
Yeah.
Let's move on with the country. Let's get ahead of this COVID-19. Let's just get ahead in life.
Yeah, and he should really try to reach out to Biden and put the country first. And for people in the Republican down ballot, you know, Mitch McConnell's from one of those Confederate states, Big C. The Confederacy may have lost the war, but they still have some offspring that are still running around in the Senate, Big C. It's all fair and love and war. So when a boxer's in a fight and he gets knocked out and he says, I won, I was robbed, Big C, that makes sense to you?
Well, and, you know, that's what Donald Trump, you know, he's saying, well, I only had a standing 8 count. You didn't count the 10. No, you missed the first 2 digits.
Yeah, it's all fair. When a boxer gets knocked out, he said, I was robbed. They stopped the fight too soon. Like, dude, you were knocked out. It's all fair and love and war. I want to go to the world of college football. Big C, this to me is crazy. I keep saying how the Pac-12 reads, and I make fun of a lot of the schools that give out more paper bags than books, Big C. So the Pac-12 Utah-UCLA game was put on pause because of COVID-19. Arizona State and Cal Berkeley's put on pause because of COVID-19. Big C, would you believe the University of California Golden Bears, they're going to play the UCLA Bruins on Sunday, 9 a.m. at the Rose Bowl, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, maybe they passed out some brown paper bags and thinking that they were professional athletes now playing a game on Sunday. But this just shows that
it's crazy.
No one cares about the health and welfare of anybody, Charlton, not even the coaches, not even the athletes.
No.
This is all about getting it in for the financial dividends of the television contract.
Yeah.
But to play a college football game on Sunday, think about it. The Pac-12 talks about they don't get exposure as it is.
Yeah.
They're going to go up against NFL pregame shows, Charlton.
Yep.
Let's be realistic. They're not that damn intelligent out in the West Coast.
No, I told you, Larry Scott, he makes a multiple $million contract, has a beautiful home in the Bay Area, and he says that we are going to play the game. I said, Larry, he's not going to put a uniform on. They're going to put those kids at Cal and UCLA down in the Rose Bowl on a Sunday when they haven't had a chance to even prepare for each other. But that's just how crooked it is when you got this free labor for these white guys getting their money, but it's all fair in love and war. Big C, college football, your thoughts? And there may be some games. We know a lot of SEC games have been put on pause, but we'll see if we got some people that are still playing football. I have no idea because it seems like every day another team goes on the pause, but we'll see what happens. We have tonight, you got Florida Atlantic. They're 3-1. They're playing at Florida International 0-3. Iowa in the Big Ten 1-2 at Minnesota 1-2. And then East Carolina's 1-5. They're playing at Cincinnati, that is 6-0, and hopefully they'll have fun. But I want to go to tomorrow. I don't know if these games are going to be played or not because a lot of schools have been hiding the fact they have people testing positive. The number 9 Miami Hurricanes and they're 6-1 at Virginia Tech. That's 4-3. It's a noontime kickoff, and then Virginia Tech's favorite by 2.5. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Miami has quietly had a great season thus far, Charlton. It's 6-1.
Yeah.
With De'Aaron King playing quarterback, the transfer from the University of Houston.
Yep.
You think about 6-1, you know, in your conference, but they're only in second place. They're tied with Clemson. But to be tied with Clemson in the ACC is not a bad place to be in. Notre Dame is going to be facing Boston College this weekend.
Yep.
I think Notre Dame will have a little high from that game that they had against Clemson last week and be very vulnerable against Boston College because they can run the football. But Miami, I like the season that they've had.
Yeah, Miami's looking good. Indiana, can you believe this is not basketball season yet, Big C? Indiana's ranked number 10 in the country. The Hoosiers, they are 3-0. They're at Michigan State 1-2. It's on ABC Sports. It's a noontime kickoff, and Indiana's favorite by 7.5. I don't think they've ever been 4-0. Big C, your thoughts? Okay, Big C, I had a little bit of phone static. POTUS was trying to hike the Big C Sports podcast for another 65 days before he gets out of office. It's all fair and love and war. But I was saying, no, maybe it was Mike Pence that hiked the Big C Sports. Not Mike Big C. Mike Pence. Indiana, I don't think they've ever been 4-0. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, that's where Mike Pence is from, so maybe he was there on vacation. He didn't go any other place close where he went to watch the Hoosiers play a football game, Charlton. But this is exciting up there.
Yeah.
You know, with the Hoosiers being 3-0 on the season and challenging for the Big Ten title. We know that Ohio State's on hiatus this week, so what will happen?
Yeah, it might be another win for them good old boys. And in fact, Ohio State's, they're on the Big C pause, too, because they've had some COVID issues in the Maryland game. So you talked about it earlier. Notre Dame's number 2 in the country, 7-0. They're at Boston College, 5-3. It's a 3:30 kickoff on ABC Sports. And Notre Dame's favorite by 13.5. And to me, Boston College is primed to knock off a team that might be overlooking them. I doubt if Kelly would let that happen, but you never know when you get those referees over in Boston. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Notre Dame has struggled against teams that can run the ball this year, Charleston. You can see where they shut down Travis Etienne last week for Clemson. Boston College has a much more solid running game. And matter of fact, the quarterback for Boston College is a Notre Dame transfer. So he's very well knowledgeable of the defense that Notre Dame runs as well as their offensive scheme. So if you're primed for the picking, this is the week against Boston College.
Yeah, so it should be a good game to watch out. Oh, Notre Dame, look out for those leprechaun officials. They may have gotten them from TD Gardens Arena. The Boston Celtics know what we're talking about, Big C. Out on the West Coast, you have the USC Trojans. They're ranked too low, in my opinion. They're only ranked 20th in the country. But, again, it's a COVID-19 season. But they're 1-0. They had a big come-from-behind win against Arizona State at home. Now they're down at Arizona that hasn't played a game because they were on the Big C pause last week against Utah. And USC is getting 14 down in the desert, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this is a game that USC needs to win and win in dominant fashion, Charleston, if they plan on moving up in the rankings. They had a paltry game last week against Arizona State that they won with a horseshoe in their back pocket. But, down in the desert against Arizona, they're going to have to score big.
Yeah, they got to score big. Couple more college football games. Colorado 1-0. They were at Stanford 0-1 on the farm. It's a 3:30 kickoff. East Coast time on ESPN is Stanford's favorite by 7. But a game that you might like, Big C, that's really big for the SEC. You have Arkansas, them good old Razorhawks of the Razorbacks. They're 3-3 on the season. They're at number 5, Florida. Florida's 4-1, and they're waiting for somebody to mess up in front of them or get COVID-19. Florida's favorite by 17.5. The only loss came at the hands of Texas A&M. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is a game that Florida must have. They won the outdoor cocktail party against Georgia last week in dominant fashion, but they're facing a common foe, Charleston. Yep. Felipe Franks is coming back home against the Gators. He quarterbacked the Gators for 2 years prior to transferring down to Arkansas, and he's looking to have a big game against his old teammates.
Yeah, he really is. Florida State 2-5 at North Carolina State 4-3. It's a 7:30 kickoff on the ACC network, and North Carolina State's favorite by 9.5. On the West Coast, a game that's going to make a lot of people itch, if that makes sense to you. You have the number 12 Oregon Ducks. They're 1-0. They're at Washington State. That's 1-0. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff at nighttime. And Oregon's favorite by 10.5 on the road. Sometimes they have trouble up there at Washington State. Final game I want to bring to you, because who's got it better than us? You look at number 14, Wisconsin. They're 1-0 at Michigan, 1-2. Jim Harbaugh's in trouble. It's a 7:30 kickoff. And think about it, Big C. Michigan is a underdog by 4.5 at the Big House. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Michigan right now is struggling, Charleston. They lost 4 of their starting offensive linemen to the NFL draft. They got a freshman quarterback. He looked good in the first game, but this team has lacked continuity in the last 2. And if Michigan loses this game, Charleston, they go 1-3 for the first time since 1969.
Isn't that crazy? You think Jim Harbaugh wants to stick around? They want to beat up the commissioner to get back to playing. Now they want to beat up the players for playing and the coach. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this has been a struggle this year, in the Big Ten for some teams. You look at Penn State, you look at Minnesota, you look at Michigan. All these teams were double-digit wins last year, Charleston.
Yeah.
And none of them can get off the snide.
Yeah, they can't get off the snide. It's all fair in love and war. I just hope that everybody stays safe. I want to bring this up, Big C, because we do Big C's Friday Night Lights. We were doing it last year, and I think about 36 states played football. The others decided not to play. In the state of Florida, there's about 10 games that were canceled in Broward County because of COVID-19. In the state of Texas, in the Dallas Metroplex alone, Dallas-Fort Worth area, there were 50 high school football games canceled due to COVID-19. In New Jersey, just outside of New York across the river, there were 56 high school football games canceled in the state of New Jersey because of COVID-19. Big C is not making national news. Your thoughts?
Well, Charleston, realistically, there shouldn't be any high school games that are being played.
I agree.
And when you look at the spiking of COVID-19 and all of those states that you named, they're at epidemic rate right now as far as positive tests of COVID-19. So it's going to spread through the schools as well as their homes. And so it's the proper thing to cancel these games and not expose these students or their parents any longer the COVID-19 other than what they have to deal with at home.
Yeah, it's a shame, but you know what people do for money, Big C, especially when it's not their own children. I want to go down to the Masters in our beautiful, I guess it's beautiful. They've had a rain delay on the first day of the Masters, and then they had to cut off the play because it was getting too dark, so they couldn't see at nighttime. But you have Ancer with the lead. I think he's -9 for the tournament. Big C. Smith is -9. So there's 4 guys at the top. Johnson also is -9. And then when you look at Tiger Woods, what he's doing, and he's still going to be in play. He's tied at 22, -4. So he played even today, but he only played 10 rounds, so he still has the back 9 when he comes back tomorrow. I think he's in great shape. All he has to do is birdie a couple, and we should have a very exciting weekend at the Masters. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when you look at the leaderboard, Charlton, all 4 of those gentlemen at the leaderboard are going to be formidable to try to catch. It's about playing consistent golf when you're at the Masters. It's very difficult to come from 5 or 6 strokes behind, Charlton, and that's what Tiger Woods is facing right now. He has to be more consistent, cut out the bogeys. He was bogey-free yesterday.
Yeah.
He's already had 3 bogeys today, so that doesn't bode well for him.
Yeah, I still hope that he does well. I love watching golf when Tiger's doing his thing. Phil Mickelson, he's another favorite that I've watched growing up over the years. He's -5, but Phil's, and then Koepka's -5. Koepka's been lifting some weights, Big C. A lot of these good old boys are out there, but the weather, I don't know what the weather's going to be like on Saturday and Sunday, but it looks like the greens are going to be a little bit softer. They're not going to be hard because they're all wet right now, so it's just a matter of who's going to have the best putting going on down to the Masters. I missed the crowds, though. I got up early this morning to watch the second round of the Masters, which was really the conclusion of the first round for a lot of golfers. You're still getting the buzz from the Masters. I know you used to go down there and hang out in the crowd, taking up 3 or 4 spaces. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, watching the guys play is like watching myself play. There's no gallery out there to watch.
Yeah, it's all fair in Leavenworth Ward. They're going to figure out how to make things happen. Here in the Bay Area, this is interesting because California, just like everywhere around the country and really around the world, they're dealing with COVID-19 spikes. The ownership group of the Golden State Warriors at the Chase Center, the new Chase Center in downtown San Francisco, just about a quarter mile from where the Giants play baseball, they're saying they're willing to COVID test all the fans that come in there to see games this year when the season starts on December 22nd. But think about something, Big C. COVID-19 news today. California, Oregon, Washington, those are 3 states that make up Pac-12 schools. So there's, I think, 8 schools that are within those 3 states, 4 in California, and then the other 4 up in Seattle, up in Washington and Oregon. They're talking about a 14-day travel quarantine. That's what they're talking about. It just came out today. If that's the case, you can't play football, especially for college, if you got to quarantine 14 days when you go from one state to the other. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, that's what should be done across the United States, Charlton. The United States needs a 6-week shutdown, period. Just 6 weeks. Close everything. Pass a stimulus package. Help those people out who cannot go back to work. But to keep nitpicking at COVID-19, the country will never get ahead of it. To think that you have to have sports to get people's minds off of things, sports is killing people right now. Sports should be put on pause. Everything. NFL, college football, high school, even the NBA opening up. Pause everything. Let's be realistic about this. Sports doesn't mean a damn thing when it comes to losing lives in America. And so people need a reality check. Cut the BS. Shut the country down for 6 weeks. Everybody, keep them at home. Keep them social distance. Get on top of this COVID-19.
And we know that, and that's why I love sports too, but I'm really proud of doing this show with you, Big C. I think we're the only sports show in the universe that followed the election from start to finish. And we started really in 2016 talking about things that happen in sports and politics, and we were right about that. We predicted that Joe Biden would be the next president, the 46th president of the United States. We didn't do it on the last day. We've been doing it for the last 4 years, and then when he came out and ran over the last couple of months when he became the Democratic nominee. And I'm not saying we did that by guessing. We talked about the swing states. Everything that we said had to happen, it happened, and it worked out to the best. And the country is going to be better off without Donald Trump and the Confederacy in the office. I would love you to finish out their statement one more time on why they should shut things down, because all of these broadcasters, not one of them are running to be in the stadium 5 feet away from the basketball courts, and they're not trying to be in the press box as they're shutting things down. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, the realism is stop saying that sports is the great equalizer. It is not. Right now, it is the great killer in America because it keeps exposing people to COVID-19. And as we have college kids, high school kids, and professional athletes getting sick from this COVID-19, and we've lost several people to death, Charlton, from COVID-19 that play athletics. So don't keep thinking that you need sports to take your mind off of everything else. Sports is perpetuating this pandemic as much as anything else in America. You're putting people at risk that don't have to be put at risk. Close down the country for 6 weeks. No travel, no nothing. No, and social distancing for everybody.
Yeah.
Open up a stimulus package from the federal government, which they can do, and let's get America healthy.
Yeah.
Damn near 160,000 people today, tested positive for COVID-19. Over 120,000 people died from COVID-19 today, Charles. 1,400 people died from COVID-19 today.
Wow.
An horrific number. This country needs to take this damn disease serious and stop using sports as an excuse to kill people. Shut it all down.
That makes very good sense, but you know what? Sometimes people put money over health. Big C Sports puts health over money. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I really do appreciate the way things are going. Big C, back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I'm wondering if somebody can send Donald Trump a good bottle of vodka so he can sit down and watch NFL football this weekend. And I wonder, since he's going to be gone out of the office, how will NFL owners look at Colin Kaepernick 4 years later?
Yeah.
So once again, I want to extend a thank you to our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, first responders. You always do a great job. And when you pass by the White House, toss a bottle out the window.
Isn't it amazing? They hated Colin Kaepernick for saying quit killing black people, and because of Donald Trump ignoring COVID, we've had over 240,000 fatalities. It's a crazy world. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. There's so many apps that you can follow, and I really do appreciate the growth of Big C Sports. As we always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, there's never, ever an excuse for racism or assault, domestic violence. None of that stuff is good. If you know anyone going through that garbage, please pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.